Normally we don't cover this dipshit. I think. Wait, I have a better version. Yeah, here it is. This is um, Charles Manson Riley, Russell Bland, and this is called "It's a Big Club and You Ain't in It: How the Game is Rigged." And he's wearing triangles because they keep the 5G energy away. And he's got tattoos that have phrases on them that are very meaningful. And the pile of wood is back to being the same size as it was before. So yeah, this one we'll dive in. And we don't get to cover Russell that often. Well, we could, but often it's just goofy, but it's indicative of a storyline that I'm seeing everywhere right now, which is the whole like it's the deep state, the pentaveret is running the world. You know, the basically what you're about to see is this. No, wait, hold on, it's in here.
Well, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world, known as the Pentaveret, who run everything in the world, including the newspapers, and meet tri-annually at a secret country mansion in Colorado known as the Meadows.
So who's in this Pentaveret?
The Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went tits up.
So that's essentially what we're about to see. Yeah, that's right.
He hunts now!
Here you go.
Do things feel crazy to you right now? Do you feel that our whole culture is in an existential crisis? That's because it is.
Bullshit. Sorry, we're not. Largely, it's conversations like this and the idea that the world is falling apart that's making people feel like the world is falling apart, not the reality itself. To quote Bill Hicks when he was watching the news, like everything, war, explosion, death, murder, and you look out your window and is there shit going on in the world? Yeah. Are we recovering from a pandemic? Sure. But the only reason people think, oh my God, the world is so full of craziness is because dickheads like this are selling that for a living. His like channel titles, like the clickbait on his shit. Hold on. Let me see if I'll bring it up again. Let's see. The titles and the images that he has on his site. Whoops. There he is. I'll go to his channel. And remember I was showing you like Johnny Bravo and that other dude who were like every fucking title.
Look, it's me, Russell.
Is this douchey bullshit? Here you go. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. It's Big Club and You Ain't in It. That's what we're looking at right now. We'll see in a second. They'll stop at nothing. Australia's scary surveillance state. Get ready for the Great Awakening. This will be the end. I don't know why he's naked in this one, but thought the pandemic was bad? This is what's next. Fuck off. They want you sick. The real reason psychedelics are... Is democracy just enslavement with benefits? Holy shit. Fuck you, dude. Is democracy just slavery with benefits? First of all, you live in a monarchy, so go suck a frog's ass. This is nonsense. When you're done having a cartoon monarchy in your own fucking country, you can tell the rest of us what democracy is all about. Jesus Christ. Is democracy just enslavement with benefits? And then Merry Christmas, my funniest bits of 2021. Imagine comparing these two things. So anyways, this video is blank. It's 14 minutes of just this picture. The royal family are keeping what secret? I don't care. I don't give a shit about royals. McDonald's Christmas advert reaction. Again. Authoritarianism on the ride. New police state. That's more of this shit. Australia's scary surveillance. This is what's next. It's all... they're eliminating free thought. Billionaires play... And then Soros. Look at this. He's already super Jewing. It's all wrong. They're showcasing the rich while... Showcasing the rich? All right. We were sold a lie. No wonder people are angry. It's all rigged. Government insider reveals. Like, fucking hell, get over yourself. Do you ever feel like the world is crazy? Like every image you see on YouTube tells you that the world is coming to a fucking end and has been telling you this for fucking years. Sorry, I should do this a little better. 1 second. Hold on. Here we go. Back up here. Have you ever thought that, right, that the world is a fucking crazy place, yeah? Probably. Yeah, let's find out. Fucking hell. I think it's all a big conspiracy. Aliens and what, yeah?
Are at a point in history where we absolutely must change the world. It will not happen within the boundaries of the system. It will require...
No, you gotta burn the whole fucking thing down. You don't think I've got all this wood stacked out back for nothing. I'm here to roast the bourgeoisie. Of course, not me, you. And I'm gonna do it from the safety of my own thing. By the way, big tech is the enemy. We should all be living on a farm. And if you don't believe me, listen to my podcast. It's available on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. It's how I make my fucking living and promote my goddamn show.
A confrontation, hopefully a peaceful, non-violent.
Fuck off. What you mean? How do you upend the whole fucking system peacefully? What you Jesus? Like, I've seen fucking Jesus fixations, but what?
Confrontation. I spoke to existential analyst Luke Kemp, who's...
What the fuck? Wait a minute. You what now? You did what? You spoke to an existential analyst? The fuck is that? Like, how do you... I'm analyzing existentialism right now. Or am I? Fucking hell.
Researcher at Cambridge University who talked to me about the nature of this existential crisis, how corruption is only going to get worse, how inequality will increase unless there is an intervention, and how the system will never allow those interventions.
Hey, fucko, guess what? I got bad news for you. Worldwide, especially in Western countries, I know you haven't heard this because you don't want to hear it, because every time it comes up, you probably stick your fucking fingers in your ears. But income inequality is actually going fucking down. And one of the reasons you talk about it is because it's something you can look at as sheer cash dollars. But if you look at lifestyle and what people actually experience in their fucking lives in Western countries, then the gap is fucking narrowing. There is no deference, but like food deserts. Still, the reason I'm saying like income inequality is because the only way you can measure it, you get fucking free food in a way that would kept the king's court alive a long time ago, you cuntcha.
Stay to the end of this video so that I can get your comments and feedback on how we can...
No, well, first of all, just because you said that, I'm bugging the fuck out. How you like that? This looks terrible. I mean, really.
Develop this conversation that began...
Because I've got whiskers and it makes my nose look brown. I look like Russell Brown nose right here. That's what's happening. Oh, that's fucking terrible, isn't it?
On my Luminary podcast, Under the Skin, but we'll...
Don't fight the system by subscribing to my podcast. Fucking hell.
End, perhaps with global change.
What I feel like we've experienced, and given the title of your job or area of research, at least, it feels like what we're experiencing is an existential crisis. That
and I'm not just using that word because it's your fucking job.
For me, it feels like a detachment from our MO and from our raison d'etre, like that we don't.
It's pronounced raison d'etre. It's a fucking French phrase. And as an Englishman, you shouldn't be quoting a French, you bastard.
Know what we are, who we are, or what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, we're like the little people of Stonehenge. No one knows who they were or what they were doing.
Anymore. That we're like sort of...
Oh, fucking hell. I did not expect, I'm very sorry, I did not expect... a United Colors of Benetton male model to be his existential crisis. This dude's existential crisis does not begin until his cheekbones start to fade.
Each blinkered, broken, atomized people that don't like that. People like like Mark Fisher, of whom I'm a great fan, like wrote, he perhaps didn't coin the phrase, it's easier to envisage the end of, the world than the end of capitalism, but certainly it's a sort of a theme that he wrote around a lot. And
Yeah, that's because they're both fucking dumb. The world's not going to end. Capitalism in some form is going to come around. And the description of the world economy as capitalism or socialism or Marxism or any of the things, those are all phrases drafted up when there was 1.5 billion fucking people on the earth and no cell phones.
You know, when like sometimes there's when you say, you know, people aren't even doing anything about it, you sort of cite the kind of
Yeah, no, you're wrong. You're wrong, Russell. They are doing something about it. You yourself are doing something about capitalism right now. You know what you're doing? You're thriving in it, you bastard. Look at you in your fucking leather jacket and your cool shirt that you picked out because it's got a low collar and it gives you a hippie look, but it's got organic fibers and it's only available because people started demanding it using your fucking Sony microphone and your Zoom fucking boom mic stand that you look through like 3 different kinds before you put it together. And you even got the Shure mic where you can plug the fucking cable straight into there. It doesn't even go into the mic because that's all chintzy and cheap looking. And you got your nice cushioned headphones and your fucking ficus or whatever the fuck plant that is in your nice Western country house and you on the warm side of a bay window and you've never skipped a fucking dessert. You're doing a shit ton about capitalism, mate. You're living in it. You're wallowing in it, you fucking pig.
lethargy, but which Mark Fisher would have said it's not lethargy. It's a kind of people have understood. Oh, you can't do anything. There's nothing you can actually do.
No, they're not. It's not lethargy. They're thriving in it, just like you are. There's nothing to fight against, you bastard.
So, what do we do? You as a
What we do to, I notice that I got a lot of wood and you're running out of books. Is there some sort of business we could set up?
younger person than me, and me as a kind of a very slightly.
Right. I had to get rid of that character just because the weird lips on it were driving me a bit crazy.
Still handsome, vocal supporter of agitation, opposition,
Get a room.
activism, and a kind of optimism. What do we do? What ideas do you want to promote?
Here's one of the ideas I'll promote, Russell. You're fucking rich, mate. You don't live in a goddamn tent. You're not recording this on a fucking Zoom you got secondhand. Stop pretending. I mean, the joke I always make that I'm going to be the next Reverend Gene Scott and just kind of like retire to a country farm and have a bunch of horses and playmates running around while I sit and, getting fat in a chair with a blackboard where I read little sections and scroll it out on there. That's what he's really shooting for.
In terms of activism, protest, confrontation, and constructing arguments to oppose the kind of ongoing tyranny. Just one example or two.
The ongoing tyranny. What fucking tyranny is either of these assholes ever going to experience? Ever? Or have they ever? Christ almighty, the ongoing tyranny.
Examples being, the surveillance state and the emergency laws that we've.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a surveillance state. I feel like everything I say is being recorded. Shut the fuck up. The surveillance state. I mean, it's different for me. I'm famous, right? So I want to be followed around.
About already. What should we do? And what do you think are good fronts to fight?
Let him talk. Just ask your question. Shut the fuck up.
On issues that will galvanize people and bring people together.
So first and foremost, I think we should note that you are deeply handsome and your facial hair is certainly superior to my own.
My heart jumped when you said that.
Secondly, if we are
all right, look, I know I'm adorable, but I'm not anywhere near the ass-gathering beauty of either of these two gentlemen in their prime. And the flailing ego here while crying about tyranny in and of itself is aggravating.
To turn the tide on these very strong, robust trends. And that's not just simply the use of emergency.
Yeah, you know what the problem is? Very strong, robust trends. Now, what causes a very strong, robust trend? Well, one of them might be that the public has wanted it for a century and has actively pushed back on any group trying to dismantle it, from the Soviet Union to the Nazis to Maoist China. There's a reason why it's not like 9 people making us live under fucking capitalism. Sorry. Get over yourself. The term capitalism literally means somebody with a head of cattle. That's how old these concepts are. Fucking hell.
Powers and the kind of expansion of state capacity, but also deeper trends like inequality. One of my colleagues, Walter Scheidel at Stanford University, had this excellent book called The Great Leveler, where he tries to do an empirical exploration of how wealth inequality has trended over time. And his key and very compelling finding is that wealth inequality increases inexorably over time until you have a great leveler, which is a state collapse, mass mobilization, warfare, a bloody revolution.
Yeah, it has been that way until we had fucking phones and computers, and there was a technological leveler, where the introduction of technology to the average person's life has given them the equivalent structural intellectual capacity, if they choose to use it, of every intellectual that has ever fucking lived on the planet. And you know how I know that? Because these 2 assholes are using 2 computers and microphones to talk about it.
Or a pandemic. And there's only 2 cases where that doesn't seem to be the case, where you actually had a reversal of inequality, or at the very least a stagnation of it, and it didn't require these kind of, quite violent ruptures. And those were both Athenian democracy and also, I think, Sweden during the antebellum period. I'll have to check that. When you had...
Oh, you mean the monarchy? Another monarchy? Yeah.
Unions started to get represented within the parliament. In short, I think these are very deep and difficult trends, and so they're not going to be fixed just by, signing a petition online, nor...
Yeah, you're going to have... Hey, look at him smiling. Yeah, we're going to have to murder some people. Not me, obviously. I'm well-liked. I'm like, I'm like the softer, nicer version of Charles Manson,
By, changing who you vote for occasionally every 4 years. They do, I think, require very direct confrontational power. And I think this is why, for instance, in the UK, you've seen this really strong response since having things like Extinction Rebellion to actually try to curtail the ability to protest. The Crime, Sentencing and Policing Bill is in many ways a very revealing of what the state fears.
What, murderers? Arsonists? Looters and raiders? Gee,
So I do think that...
Why would the state fear that? Oh, because the state actually has as its primary goal the safety of the citizenry, and a city on fire is kind of counter to that idea. It's that the only reason they want to stop looting and rioting and arson is because they want to keep their grip on power, not because flames drift. Jesus.
And confrontation is probably the most necessary ingredient for trying to actually stop these trends. And one of the things I argue for in the article is...
excuse me, you haven't made the case that the trends actually need to be stopped. You might want to engage Mr. Existential Crisis in the argument that a crisis exists first, instead of we're in a system that needs marginal, constant gardening to improve it all the time. And when it's got gaps in it, we fix those and we continue to move forward, because it's not like we didn't have anarchy and fucking, small tribes before where everybody just retreats and gardens and bullshit. We had that. And a lot of us got stomped by the neighboring town that decided to have an army.
We need to try to pursue emergency emancipation. So when it comes to emergencies and when it comes to crises, rather than trying to give the government kind of more leeway and practicing this kind of politics of, well, you can't criticize the government during an emergency because you can't politicize the emergency.
Of course you can. And again, this is probably around vaccines or some shit. criticizing the government, saying vaccines should be free. I think they should be everywhere. I think everybody should have access to them. And I don't necessarily agree it should be mandated, but I will criticize the public on that side for not getting it. But these are that's not the same thing as going, drink some fucking horse paste. The government is lying to you, because that's what Russell's talking about.
We should do exactly that. We should actually demand more government oversight when these crises occur, and we should demand more involvement on behalf of citizens. And I think ultimately the key goal here should be to try to reform our democracy towards what's frequently referred to as deliberative democracy. So rather than having a representative who's picked...
I don't know that he likes that. I don't like this deliberative idea. And again, I don't know, this guy's an expert in being in an existential crisis. Wait, does he list who the fuck this guy is? His wealth is disparity. What's that? Luke Kemp. No. Elites are taking over. Our only hope is to form our own. To learn more, join my cartel. russellbrand.com/join. Oh no, he's tracking everyone. For meditation and breath work, go to my side channel where I pretend to be a fucking hippie. Football is nice is my free weekly full-length podcast. Again, this guy is rolling in capitalism. And yet, at the same time, like, ooh. It's like Jimmy Dore in his $1.4 million house and Hassan in his $2.5 million house are like the three horsemen of anti-capitalism.
Every 4 years, you have a sortition or lottery across the entire citizenry. You have them picked. They can have either an assembly or a jury in which they're briefed by experts, and they make the policy decisions. And that both...
I see. So forced political servitude. Basically it's political slavery. Sorry, mate. You're mayor right now. I know you had dreams. Jimmy Dore is an asshole and has promoted more murders with his bullshit than almost anyone else on TYT.
It helps to control any corruption because, if you're basically only in office for a very short period of time and you're anonymized, there's really no one to lobby per se. And we also know...
Yeah, because the average person, given the reins of power, will just automatically find morality. Just spin a fucking wheel. That's what we'll do. Hey, oh shit, it landed on Dershowitz. Can we skip it? Nope, sorry.
When you get citizens together and you give them good evidence and you give them the chance to deliberate, they actually come to remarkably good decisions. Their political judgment is actually very, very good. The problem is whenever we do this, we frequently just discard what they say because they tend to actually say things and recommend things which are going to be effective in terms of addressing problems, but are not going to be politically palatable. And it's exactly what happened with the Climate Change Assembly in France.
Yeah, that's true. Eventually, you spin that wheel and give somebody political power temporarily because they've been drafted into government positions for a deliberative body forced out of random selection of the public. Eventually, you're going to land on a Himmler, and you're just going to have to ride it out, I guess.
Where Macron, in response to the Yellow Vest revolutionaries, essentially said, okay, we're going to have this big democratic assembly. I'm going to allow for deliberative democracy to flourish. We're going to have this experiment, and I'm going to take on any recommendations they give. And so I had this over year-long assembly. They gave, I think, over recommendations. These were very broad-ranging, and in the eyes of most experts, very effective and very kind of well-crafted. And Macron, I think, accepts just a handful of them. And that's quite clearly because he knows they're going to be effective. And unfortunately, usually when it comes to addressing...
Is that why? Or because it changes the entire structure of the French economy forever? Because it's a takeover by ideologues from another country, essentially.
Global catastrophes, effective means challenging power. So, in short, I think we really need two things. We need to have...
No, it doesn't. It means seizing power. Just giving the suggestions doesn't mean they all get implemented. Again, what does this have to do with an existential crisis?
Much more direct protests and confrontation and struggle. But on top of that, we also need to know the leverage points. In this case, it's not trying to address things by issue basis. It's really trying to get towards changing how democracy is conducted. And I think the two big things which can actually unify people rather than divide them are A, deliberative democracy, actually saying, look, as citizens, you should have a direct say in how policies are crafted. You shouldn't just simply hand over.
Well, you do. We have, like, they post bills and the citizenry can write in and say what their suggestions are. That doesn't mean you get to override what the bill says because 10 or 15 of you. We don't have, like, tyranny by minority either. That's what the deliberative part means.
The keys to a representative 4 years who you have, very limited options for in the first place.
Appreciate it.
And B, wealth inequality. Pretty much everyone across the spectrum agrees that tax evasion is abhorrent and that tax havens should be shut down.
Thanks, Mark.
Most people, when you actually, even on the far right, when you actually ask them what would be the kind of like ideal distribution of wealth or income, they tend to suggest something that's radically more egalitarian than what's currently in place in places like the US or across the world. So I really do think that
an example would be necessary because that sounds like something from a Hallmark card from the Marx collection. Explain yourself.
2 key leverage points, wealth inequality and digital democracy. Those are things which can really change things. They're actually about leveling power, leveling economic.
No, they don't. And again, where's the existential crisis part? Wasn't he talking about an existential crisis? The name of this is "A Big Club and You Ain't In It, How the Game is Rigged" is the name of this video.
Political power, and the things that can unify rather than divide people.
Did you enjoy that from Luke Kemp? Would you like to see more video?
No, I didn't. I thought it was a bunch of shit, mate. I thought you were blowing smoke up your own ass. I think it's a bunch of, like, navel-gazing, tit-swelling from a bunch of chicken-feathered assholes. It's the same shit you tell all the time. It's just a bunch of fucking... You might as well be Alex Jones, mate. You're like the hippie Manson Alex Jones. And I don't give a fuck what you're saying. It's a bunch of fapping, mate. You're both just jerking off. I don't know what the fuck you even said. We were addressing an existential crisis. You opened this fucking video, mate, by going, "Do you feel like the systems we are on, the precipice of crazy fuck world is falling apart?" Well, it's because it is. No, it fucking isn't, you bastard. Lazy bullshit. Just, ugh. Now I remember why we don't look at this guy's stuff anymore.